America. This is going to be a long video, but please listen to it because this may be the most important video that you've ever forwarded in your whole life. And I'm not exaggerating, and I believe when you hear the rest of this video, you may agree with me and immediately forward this video to everyone that you can. My name is Jeff Foll. I am a scientist, and I'm the founder of LabD Biotech. That is LAABD Biotech. We formed this company last week because we're on the heels of developing a bioassay that is going to take care of our testing issue. So I have given videos before and I've made some bold claims. I was speaking with a possible investor last night late. I've been running 20-hour days, folks, and I'm actually getting to the point where I can't do it anymore. So I need your help. So again, please listen to this video. But speaking to an individual that might bring investment into what we're trying to do, he said, you're putting out videos, but you're doing it as a pastor, because I actually pastor 3 churches here in Tampa as I've moved out of the lab recently to full-time pastoring. We'll talk about that briefly. But he said, you've got to give your qualifications scientifically to be making the claims that you are. And so let me start out with who I am. I have been in the scientific field since I've been 6 years old, when you could find me in the woods and in swamps pulling out organisms and classifying what they are. I have been born with the scientific biological interest. That's just who I am. And so my high school, my grade school, my high school, into my college and graduate school education has all been around exactly what I'm talking about right now. So this has been in the making for somewhere close to 50 years, where I am today, from a child into this particular thing that we're talking about. Let me tell you about my educational history. In the mid to late 80s, I was at Plattsburgh State University in a unique program called In Vitro Cell Biology and Biotechnology, one of the top centers in the nation in biotech. Back in the mid 80s, it was called the Minor Institute. I was on a full academic scholarship and graduated successfully in the upper level of the class in Plattsburgh State with complete knowledge of biotechnology and in vitro cell biology at that point. We had a whole semester. We called it the Biotech Boot Camp, and it really was the Biotech Boot Camp, and Dr. Bill Grazaday ran it, fantastic scientist, incredible teacher. But we had 40 adjunct specialist teachers come in to teach us their field of biotechnology. So with that education, I stepped into a role at GIBCO, Grand Island Biological Company, because that's where I lived, Grand Island, New York, and as my wife and I got married, and I spent 2 years developing unique assays for development of, so the assays of bioassays were to determine how to develop better medium to grow cells in. I'll talk about that again briefly. And then I went to Duke University, again on full scholarship from 1990 to 1992, and graduated with a master's in immunology. In all of these examples, I'm going to tell you now, true real-life bioassay development, because that's my niche. That's what I like to do. So while I was at GIBCO, I developed complex bioassays to determine the impact of cellular growth in artificial medium so that we could make them better. And we came up with some great products. I think one of the best one with Dr. Dick Fike, one of the best ones was a protein-free hybridoma medium, where you could grow hybridomas and produce antibodies without any other foreign protein. That had never been done before. And Dr. Fike was a great mentor and helped me, and I helped him by developing these assays. When I got to Duke, Mike Krangle was a great mentor as well, and in his laboratory, I developed a way to look at the consensus sequence of a binding protein, a nuclear binding protein. It involved a unique method called mobility shift assay, where we would look to see what sequences that a protein would grab onto and hold onto during a gel electrophoresis, and these were radioactive labeled sequences. And what we did was we doped these sequences with a 10% sequence, so nucleotide. We doped the consensus sequence, we doped it with 10% error in the other nucleotide. So when we lifted and pulled that sequence up by the protein, I could take that, what was pulled by the protein, and sequence it with what's called Sanger dideoxychemical sequencing, and quickly see band patterns that would tell us immediately what the consensus sequence was. And if you don't understand that, that's okay, because people in the knowledge of genetics would understand exactly what we did. Then I moved out when I graduated from Duke, I went to the laboratory briefly with Dr. Donna Costu, and we developed a novel assay for rapidly determining what's called the HLA matching. So basically, when people get transplants, you need to understand if it's going to be rejected or not. And we developed the very first plate-based genetic test for that, and that was published, and that was Dr. Donna Costu. And I've been blessed with mentors in my life. After that, I went into Embrex and helped develop and actually developed a system to measure a complex cytokine mix that we were putting into field trials in poultry. And that assay had been worked on for years, and it had never been successful. And unfortunately, I was able to totally change the design based on my experience at Gitco, and we had great success and developed this assay. When I moved into GlaxoSmithKline, I had a mentor named Jennings Worley. Jennings Worley is an absolute genius. I mean, he's the brightest man I've ever met, and he just doesn't know it. He's completely humble, one of the greatest men I've ever had a chance to have mentor me in the scientific realm. Jennings Worley, we worked together and we developed very complex assays that were designed to measure ion channel activity in whole cells, including, in this particular settings at GlaxoSmithKline, the introduction of a novel transduction system with baculovirus so that we could literally quickly put together multi-complex, subunit complex ion channels, up to 5 different subunits, and see their activity. This was published material. You can check it out. Look at my last name, PFOHL, in any kind of publication, and you'll see that I have patents as well as quite a few publications. So we also developed an assay, and I was the primary investigator on this, for the rapidly inactivating P2X1 channel. This is a ligand-gated channel. The problem is it opens up and closes so quick you can't see it in a typical cell-based assay. And we were able to change the assay design and got a robust assay, one of its kind again. And Sherry Smith, who I worked with on that at GlaxoSmithKline, can validate that this was done. So we had truly novel assays, a wide variety of them, when I was at GlaxoSmithKline, and then Jennings and I moved to a company called Amphora. In Amphora, we actually had a major patent that dealt with measuring ion channel activity, voltage-gated ion channels, in a cell-based assay in microfluidics. And what we had to do was to develop an assay to see the activity of these ion channels in a high-throughput mode. And Vertex had a patent on what's called AC current field switching or field stimulation. So we were able to develop an alternative using DC current. It was quite novel, and we were developing the patent. And again, this was under Jennings Worley mentorship, and it was really quite a unique assay, and we actually cut the biggest deals that Amphora ever cut based around some of this technology. And so we also developed a novel assay for the measurement of the activity of a unique channel called TRPV1 or VR1 at that time. That's the ion channel that gets activated when you eat hot peppers, and it's an important ion channel in pain management, and it opens under different things. It can be open because you've eaten hot peppers, but it's also opened by heat. That's the ion channel that tells you you're burning yourself. So we were able to develop bioassays to not only understand how it opens and what would work if you had a compound against that, but also, if you're opening it with an agonist like capsaicin, or if you were actually opening it via heat or even stretch. We actually showed that this channel was stretch activated in our high throughput screening. So we had 3 modalities. These are very complex assays, folks, and we were able to build them. And so I have a long history of success in developing complex assays. PerkinElmer, I was a field application scientist, and I would go into academic situations and have 5 to 7 assays to build in half a day, and the success of those assays would determine whether the institution was going to buy a very expensive piece of equipment that had the capacity to run those assays. I was typically successful 65% of the time developing complex assays in the first shot. And working as a demo in an academic environment. And we actually put many instruments all across the Southeast, and it became the model used by PerkinElmer as we combined people that were doing instrument sales and people that were doing reagent sales. And so I do have a history, folks, of being able to do this. So when I tell you that I have a 95% confidence that an assay will work, and further, when other people who are in the field have seen the assay under NDA and say it has a 95% confidence, there's a 95% confidence that it will work, we really are there. The only thing we're missing are the samples to test the assay. So I have been so tempted to go out and get blood samples from people in our society, but I can't do that. This has to be done. There's regulations. This has to be done under what's called IRB approval. It will take months for us in the normal channels to get IRB approval. So we are asking for this video to be made viral. And I'm going to tell you what this assay is going to do in a few minutes. And I'm sorry this is a long video, but I'm telling you this will be the most important video you've ever forwarded in your life if we are successful. So I have everything ready to prove and make this assay work so that we can rapidly expand it across the US and across the globe, because that's the capacity of this assay. There are instruments in a variety of labs across the US, there's instruments all across the globe, and the reagents are available, so it can be done rapidly. The only thing I'm missing are the samples of people who have been exposed to COVID, and I can't get those unless I break the law and go out and, well, not break the law, but bend the law. Let's just put it that way, bend the law, which I'm always tempted to do. Bend the law and go out and get samples from people in Tampa Bay, which I could do, and try to develop the assay. But it would be so much better if somebody that has samples from patients at different stages of the disease would be willing to work with us and send us a small portion, an aliquot of those IRB approved samples. That's all we're missing. I've been sitting on this assay now since its inception. The concept came to me right here in this sanctuary as I was praying. A concept came to me, and I began to realize immediately how important this assay was. And since March 27th, I've been trying to build and get this assay done and out the door and into the hands of the multitude so we can screen rapidly millions of people and stave off the impacts of this pandemic, from early treatment of people so they don't get so sick to stopping the economic crash. And so it's been very difficult. I've had all the reagents available for over a week now. I just don't have samples. All I need are samples. That's why you need to make this video go viral. I will tell you now, I have a 30-year career of success in business, in the laboratory, in an academic environment, and in biotech environments. And as I mentioned, I have had the benefit of the mentorship of quite a few scientific geniuses, from Jennings Worley to Dick Fike to Sherry Smith and a variety of others. And so I'm the sum total of a bunch of people that invested a lot of their time and energy into me, and I'm very thankful for it. But I'm telling you that when I say that an assay has a 95% chance of success, that is the truth. That's my experience. I have enough experience to be able to say that. This assay has greater than 95% chance of success, and all we need are IRB approved samples to do it. So what can you do to help? You just need to get this video made viral, and I'm telling you the samples will come and everything that we need will come together in short order. So I want to reiterate the prior post, and it's going to take a few more minutes, but I'm going to tell you what this assay will do and why it's so important. So I have made some prior posts, and people, I think, have wondered, who is this guy? And he's just a pastor. How can he come up with such an idea? And I think now I've made it clear that I have 30 years of vast experience in this realm and could come up with this concept. And so this assay is going to detect infection of COVID-19 from 6 to 24 hours post-infection with a low false negative rate. We believe it's going to be less than 5%. Importantly, though, the assay is going to be so cheap and easy to run, and the sampling procedure, which is a finger prick for blood, people can be literally tested daily. It's that simple. And the volume of tests that we can do can get to that level. So we can daily test all of our frontline healthcare workers. We can daily test people that have a high risk of come in contact with the disease. That will, one, allow us to take a person and quarantine them immediately so they don't infect others, but also give them early treatment, because unfortunately, what people don't realize is that when you survive a severe event with this disease, your lungs are irreparably damaged. So it's more than just surviving the disease, it's actually hitting the disease early enough that we don't have severely damaged lungs for people that are going to impede their quality of life as they go further on past the infection. So we will have early testing available. We'll be able to deal with people quickly and keep people from passing the infection. Again, we expect to see the infection 6 to 24 hours with a low false negative rate. Now, briefly, PCR has a high false negative rate, I think primarily because it's difficult to sample to get the virus. So you've got to get the virus on the swab or you're not going to see it. And on top of that, I think the virus can evade by mutating, and you've got to have a panel of primers if you're going to successfully catch a virus that has mutated the point mutation or the point sequence that you're probing. So hopefully, and I don't know, I haven't been able to watch television in 3 weeks. Well, actually, I don't watch television. I don't have one, honestly. But I haven't been able to check out the news for 3 weeks. I've not been able to see any videos or anything that talk about the PCR. So I haven't had the time to go delve into what's being done in the PCR world. But I do hope that the PCR assays are based on more than just one primer, because I'm telling you, this virus virus will mutate and that primer will become ineffective and miss viruses that have mutated the sequence that you're targeting. So I do hope that the PCR-based assays are going for at least 3 to 5 different sequences, but I'm not in that field. But anyways, with regards to this assay, it's not a PCR-based assay. We are going to see infection. We're not going to miss it, and it's in such a manner that people can be tested daily so we can catch the infection in case it was a little bit too early in their immune response to see the infection. We're going to detect, hopefully, comparative infections with the flu, H1N1, and with the common cold. So we can add further specificity to this particular test. And furthermore, I think that people that are both positive for the H1N1 virus and for the COVID-19 virus, their treatment course must be completely different. And so if we can tell that early on, it's going to help people be healed, be made well without any significant damage to their lungs. We believe that this test is going to give a reasonable estimate of time of infection. And I think as the metadata comes out and we begin to do big data crunching and we have the metadata where people know when they were exposed, we're going to be able to actually get down to a 1 to 2 hour window with regards to individuals, maybe 1 to 5 hour window, because human response is so variable. But I think that's going to be essential to understand this pandemic and eventually be prepared for the next one that's coming down the pike. And folks, the reality of it is, and you need to understand this, America, that virus that we're currently struggling with could have been built, and I'm not saying it was built in a laboratory, but could have been built in laboratories all around the world, including laboratories in nations that are rogue states. That could be done very simply. Its genome is small enough to build it. If you have the right machines, you could build it in a couple days and then just package it in the viral coding from other viruses, and bam, you've got a pandemic. So I don't think this is the first pandemic we're going to see, and we need to have this technology deployed so we can rapidly put it to use the next time a pandemic comes around. And I know that's a scary thought. And so if you're not close to God now as a pastor, let me ask you, get close to God. It might be a good idea. But anyways, this particular assay is going to be able to determine, we think it's going to give a reasonable time frame of infection, and it's going to put people into different buckets that I'm going to talk about, and we deal with each bucket differently. And then we're going to determine if a person is a candidate for plasma donation, because they've got such a strong immune response. That immune response can be transferred to somebody else by donating the plasma, and people that are very sick can be made whole. Importantly, this test is going to pick up your asymptomatic patients. We know now that there's a high percentage of individuals who have been infected and never got sick enough to go to the doctor. Unfortunately, they're well, but they're infectious. And so all that time that they were infected and they didn't have symptoms, they were walking around infecting other people. So this is going to be a global general population test so that people that don't have symptoms but are infected know to self-quarantine until they're able to go out and not be infectious anymore. This assay is going to minimize cost. If we get it to the fully miniaturized version of 5 microliters total volume and a 1536 well plate, and I know you may not understand all of this, but somebody that you forward this to will. We can get it to a 1536 well plate and 5 microliters volume. We'll be less than $1 a test. Less than $1 a test. And again, we can do millions of samples per day in that format. Millions, and that's essential. At less than $1 per test, the most costly part of it will be the collection protocol. The kits right now are $6 a kit for home collection from Spot On Technologies, and we'll be using their HemaSpot SE kit. And hopefully they'll make it large volume and bring the price down. So this assay, let me tell you what it's going to do. It's going to break people into these buckets. First, we're going to see people that have never been infected with the virus, and they're called naive. Then we're going to see people that are early in the infection, and they may not be symptomatic, but they're infectious. And then we're going to see people that are in the middle of the infection course, and again, they may not be symptomatic. So, we're picking up people that may be have an infection and are infectious, but are not showing any symptoms. And then we're going to see people that are convalescing. They're starting to get better, and their body's overcoming this attack, but they're still infectious. And then we're going to see people who have overcome the disease and they're not infectious, and that's a great place to be. They can go back to work. So the first group, the naive, can go to work, and the fifth group can go to work. And then the sixth group are people that are convalescent or they've overcome the disease, but they have such a powerful immune response, their plasma can be transported and given to 3 to 5 other people and help those people overcome the disease as well. And these people can go back to work. So we can literally quickly get millions of people back to work in a safe environment where we know they're not infected. We can do daily monitoring of individuals who are in the front line in the health field, and then make this happen. If you want to see who I am, go to LinkedIn and look up my last name, P-F-O-H-L. That's a hard name. I'm going to repeat it. P as in Peter, F is in Frank, O is in Oscar, H is in Harry, L is in Louise. It's not an easy name. My wife still isn't used to it, and we've been married over 30 years. And then look up LABD, L-A-A-B-D. You put those two words together, my last name and LABD spelled with two A's, you will find my LinkedIn protocol, and you will see that I'm actually qualified to do this. America, the ball is in your court. I have been going on 20 hours a day, 18 to 20 hours a day since March 27th. I have reached into the White House because I had a connection with the White House, the different executive office of the White House actually, for a different project that I'm working on. So I've reached into the White House and we've not got anything back. I have tried to make a Facebook blast into Washington, D.C., but Facebook blocked it after 4,500 people saw it. And that was out of my own pocket, folks. I put $250 into an ad campaign. I have purchased the reagents personally, almost $2,000 worth of reagents. I don't have that kind of money. I pastor a church, and my wife and I have poured everything we can into this assembly. So I'm stepping out in high risk to do this. So I want you to understand it's in your court. We have expended. I've expended myself physically. I've gone now almost 3 weeks on 20-hour days, 3 to 5 hours of sleep a night, nonstop. I can't do that anymore. I'm really at the end of my rope. And so it's up for you, Americans, to make this go viral and let it get the attention of the task force. As soon as we have somebody's attention who has the samples we need, we'll be able to generate the data and get this thing going and get it moving. So it's up to you, America. It's going to go forward if you forward this video to all your friends, especially those that are healthcare workers and in the scientific field, because you may not understand what I said, but they will, and they'll forward it to the right people. It takes just one person to get to the right place, or maybe an N of 6. I know they talk about the 6 people that you know. Let me tell you, I can't guarantee you this assay is going to work, but everyone that has seen it under confidentiality has had an aha moment. And I don't say that lightly. It was a eureka moment. Every single one. And these are people that are knowledgeable in the field. And we have presented now to over, I think, 7 to 10 people, scientists under confidentiality. And every one of them has had an aha moment. I am willing to present this technology and what we're doing to anybody that has IRB samples or that can help, has a laboratory that wants to eventually run the assay as it gets performed. I'm willing to do this. And so if you are that person, please call me at 813-358-8588. If you are able to assist in the development, validation, and the prosecution and the going global of this assay, please call me at 813-358-8588. And that's only if you can help. Please, if you have commentary on this video, put it in the comment section. Or if you want to, you can email me at labdbiotech@gmail.com, and that is LAABD LAABDbiotech@gmail.com. It's pronounced LabD, but it has 2A, and then biotech@gmail.com. And again, if you are not able to assist with samples or other things that will get this thing moving, then please don't call me. But if you are able and you have IRB approved samples, or you have other things that will help us to make this assay successful and get it propagated across the United States, call me at 813-358-8588. Now, please, for everyone that has seen this video, forward it to everyone you know. It's got to go viral, but you need to forward it especially to those that you know that are in the scientific or medical field. They will understand much of what I was talking about. And then, there's a joke that says, how do you keep an idiot in suspense? And when people say how, you say, I'll tell you tomorrow. Well, let me tell you where we're at here. How do you frustrate the daylights out of a scientist? You're given an important assay with no samples to run, and that's where we are. And I've been going 18 to 20 hours a day since the inception of this concept on March 27th, and I've been trying to get the attention of the task force. I've been going a myriad of avenues, and none of them have been successful. Again, this assay has a 95% chance of solving our testing issue in less than 2 to 3 weeks, and everybody that is knowledgeable in the field that has seen this assay design all agree that it is capable of doing that. So I've tried multiple avenues. I made a video and tried to blast DC, which Facebook blocked. So only you only you have the capacity to make this thing go viral. If you've seen this video, and I hope that you've taken the time to see all of it, seen this video, you have the capacity to help make this go viral. If you forward it to every individual that you can think of, especially individuals who are in the field of medicine or in the field of science, within a day, it'll be in front of the task force and I will get the help I need. I am at the end of my rope, physically, mentally, spiritually, because of all of the 20-hour days. And so we're at a point now where America, you've got to come together and make this thing happen. I hope you do, and I hope we have success. Again, I can't guarantee it's going to work. That 5% is still there. It's not 100%, but I do think it's going to work, and we need to get it going fast and going forward. Have a great day, and hopefully by tomorrow we'll be sending out another video saying we've got samples taken care of.